series of draws, actually. Washington Spirit versus New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC, a 1-1 draw. Gotham got to be a little bit disappointed that they're not walking away with all 3 points here after an incredible match that they just had. But that doesn't mean that they got knocked off the standings. They're still exiting week 9 at number 1. What a game.
What a game to close out the weekend. For our picks, I had this one as a draw. Surprisingly, I'm actually shocked I got that right. And then you had it as a Gotham win. And it should have been a Gotham win. This should 100% have been New Jersey, New York walking away from Audi Field with 3 points on the night, because this game was just all New Jersey, New York, Gotham. They controlled it from the very beginning. They had really good possession. Really good movement. Brunina getting the opening goal for Gotham FC in the 23rd minute. Back-to-back games for her with a goal. She's the outside back. And the fact that she finds herself in these positions in the attacking end, top of the 18, with acres of space around her, no Washington defender stepping at all to her. And that's how the scoring gets going in the opening 25 minutes of this game. It was good.
I'm so grateful to have another week in this league where we get to see some more Brunina brilliance. I loved this goal, and I loved the link up from Taylor Smith. Talk about a player that I don't think people are talking enough about right now. I just feel like this is a player who's coming off of a good couple weeks of play here with Gotham. Look, there's several players across several rosters that have kind of found themselves working their way into the season. And Taylor Smith was one of those players that we didn't see really, really early on for Gotham, but we're starting to see what she can bring to this team and how Gotham can look when she's fit and ready and available for their starting lineup selection. I thought it was a fantastic opening breakthrough. Girl, let's talk about how my pick for this team to win, though, fell through. We got to talk a little bit about a goal that got, disallowed essentially after a review from VAR. At least I want to hear your opinion and thoughts on it, because you already know that I was bummed out. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a bummer for me and my pick.
This was really rough. It's the start of the second half, around the 55th minute. Washington was struggling at this point. Gotham was putting so much pressure on them. And the Spirit were having a really hard time clearing the ball out. So that just allowed for recycling for Gotham. And as this ball kind of comes about, it's Jenna Nightswanger, the left back for Gotham, who ends up whipping this cross in, which we saw her do a number of times throughout this game. Fantastic job by her on these crosses. And it's Yasmin Ryan with a diving header in front of the defender. She gets near side. It goes in the post. As this goal happened, I screamed on my couch. I was like, yes. It was like such a beautiful goal. Yasmin Ryan had a couple of opportunities. She's another player. You mentioned Taylor Smith, one that has grown into her role with Gotham and kind of found her footing, not just in Gotham, but in the NWSL. We saw moments of it last year with Portland for Ryan, but it's really starting to come together now with Gotham. And in this moment, I was so shocked when initially the referee went over to check the VAR, because they have to check the sequence leading up to the goal. And before this happened, when Washington couldn't clear the ball, there was a moment where it looked like the ball hit off of a Gotham player's hand. And as this happened, the only camera angle that we could see was behind the player. Who was it? I forget who actually got the handball.
It's always whenever we get I say us as those who are viewing it on the stream, we get these multiple angles, and I find myself trying to get look at every single 4 of the VAR screens at once that I almost miss it. But there was enough there, which I think was the surprising part for me. The point is this whole idea where it's it's got to be clear and conclusive, and to overturn what was on the field. And at the time, it was this is a goal. It's a goal.
It was a goal.
Review.
It was a goal scoring opportunity, and it was Sheehan actually whose arm they think it bounced off of. But the only angle we saw was from her back, and to me, it was not clear and obvious that this was a handball off her. The way that the angle shows, yes, her arm is there, but it also looks like it could just be hitting off her body. And you don't really know depth perception if her arm is in the way or not. Now, around her in the play, there's like 4 or 5 Washington players that raise their hands and say, "Hey, that's a handball." But you can't always go off what the players are doing. But sometimes when it is 4 or 5 of them doing it, it's almost a little bit of a show, like telltale, like, okay, this hit her hand if 5 of them are reacting that way. But to me, I didn't think it was clear and obvious that this happened. Now, a lot of times we as broadcasters of the league, sometimes we get pro VAR classes and training, and I'm sure this one will be talked about and mentioned just to kind of educate the broadcasters a bit more as to why calls are made and why they happen. That way the broadcasters can then relay them on the game feed to the listeners so everyone can be educated. I'm sure this will be one that is talked about in the next VAR meeting.
We're all here together. We're all in this together. We're all learning as we go. But tough. I think tough for a team that has been playing so well that kind of had the better play throughout several stretches of this game, because we get into this second half where you think Gotham's going to run away with it, and that's just a huge momentum switch for Washington Spirit, because they came out swinging as well in this second half to kind of go ahead and try to combat against Gotham at this point, try to work them. They're playing from behind, and we're highlighting players who are doing cool things, and we're talking about Gotham and Taylor Smith and Brunia for getting linking up and getting this goal. But let's talk about how the Spirit got this equalizer essentially in this game. Hatch providing the assist on this one. Player who goes out for a second. It looked a little scary. Nasty little ankle tweak. Hopefully that's all it is. I'm sure we'll get.
She looks fine.
She looks fine. She's like, "Give me that tape. Get me out there." But here we are, just before the 70th minute here. And look, this is a game where I think we got to witness a couple of really good first-year performances, players that we need to continue to talk about and keep in the conversation of those individual awards down the stretch, whether it's Jenna Neiswanger for Gotham FC, or in this case, Paige Mateer for Washington Spirit. Getting the equalizer in this game, lovely header.
Yeah.
I love a set piece play. Yeah. I love
the fact that it comes off one of 3 of Washington Spirit's corner kicks, that they're able to capitalize on that moment. It was a bit against the grain, because I think Gotham had a lot of the momentum, had a lot of opportunities. I mean, I just dropped that stat: 3 corner kicks for Washington, 11 for Gotham, and Washington's able to capitalize on that. This was massive for Paige Mateer. Ashley Hatch whips the corner in, and Mateer's in the midst of the middle of it. A couple other players there, and she gets her head on it. We saw a number of header corner kick goals or header goals across the weekend in the NWSL, but this one being the equalizer for Washington, a way to split points at home after a rainy, chilly day in Washington, D.C.
Maybe a different vibe. We're talking about how we're grateful for the not rainy weather. That wasn't the case in DC, but these two teams split the points and land on different spots in the standings, and we'll go over those at the end for everyone in the episode, so stay with us till we get to the standings. But we have to talk about one other draw that took place over the course of the weekend. We want to chat about San Diego Wave FC versus Portland Thorns FC. This game also ends in a 1-1 draw. Lisa, when we were talking on the preview, we were kind of hyping these games up. We were building them up. We sort of felt like these are the matches that have some potentials to show us some things about the current form of these teams. But not only that, but perhaps these could be some playoff previews very, very early on, depending on where things land in the final table towards the playoff push. So this one comes down to the wires again, but each team scoring a goal in some dangerous game situations. And just when you think one team's going to take it all, that's not what ends up happening here in this game.
Yeah.
Split points once more.
This match between Portland and San Diego, it had moments of excellence, right? There's also moments of a little bit of sloppy play, I'm going to be honest, but it looked like it was going to be a draw until the very end. I was like, this one's going scoreless. You and I both had Portland picking up 3 points in this game. And looking at the stats, like 15 shots for San Diego, 28 shots for Portland. There were so many great moments, big saves from both keepers. I think that's what we talked about in our preview. Fallon Tullis-Joyce, Kaylin Sheridan for San Diego, and Bella Bigsby for Portland Thorns having to be really big in this game and come up with big saves. That's exactly what they did. And I thought this game was just going to kind of coast out and end in a 0-0 draw, but Sofia Jakobsson, the Swedish international, in the 86th minute, bullies her way through the Portland Thorns back line. That's what I'm going to say, because she stayed on top of the ball, and although having multiple defenders around her, Bella Bigsby coming out, making herself big, Jakobsson is able to follow this one through and find the back of the net. And you think, okay, 86th minute. It's been a stalemate this entire time. Really good shots, really good opportunities. Neither team squeaking through. It's only going to come down to one goal, and the Wave is the one that has found the back of the net. But leave it up to the rookie, Reina Reyes, out of Alabama, the defender, who we're talking about rookies. She's one that definitely deserves a shout for Portland Thorns, because she ends up getting on the board in the 90th minute, a corner kick for Portland Thorns. She finds the back of the net on a header to equalize this one at the end of the game. But throughout the entirety of this match, I was very impressed with Reina Reyes and her ability to push forward into the attack, to take chances with the ball at her feet and succeed in those chances, and then defending 1v1. I really am just so impressed with the rookie this year, and Reina Reyes is one of those reasons why.
Yeah, I thought she had a really good game. I think, look, we're having another season here where rookies or first-year players are really kind of making their stamp throughout seasons, or games specifically. But I love that you said that. So yeah, I kind of bullied her way through on that. And that was a waste, but that was not the case. Just I guess the veteran experience kicking in, the IQ kicking in, and saying I got to get this. Bixby out of position a little bit, and Jakobsson taking advantage of that. But I think just the timing of these goals as well. Like, you just sort of are looking at the game and the momentum of the momentum shifts of the game, and you're just like, wow, like the Wave just really went out and did that and stole this one. Because you're talking, mentioning how maybe some of Portland having the better stretches of play in that one, but doesn't really matter if you don't capitalize on your chances. What does that mean? I do wonder if maybe it came down to some rotation. I mean, Portland has such a deep bench, right? We saw some different looks in for different players by head coach Norris there. But I do wonder if you keep Moultrie in, versus Sinclair. Like, what does that look like, against the Wave? But maybe champagne problems, right? You've got so many starting caliber type of players.
I think in our preview we talked about Moultrie, and we wanted to see her start. I wanted to see her continue to get starts. I think Olivia Moultrie's been a really good breath of fresh air for Portland Thorns and contributing. But yeah, champagne problems to choose between the young Olivia Moultrie and the legend Christine Sinclair. Like, those are your choices for midfield. Like, okay, Mike Norris, sleep well at night, sir.
Yeah, it's so wild to even just like look at the final stat numbers on this, because it's just like we're talking about the champagne problems. It's like total shots for Portland, 28 compared to 15 from San Diego. Attempts on target gets a little more even, maybe, if you're looking at San Diego with 5 and Portland with 8. But it's hard for me to sit here and say like, oh, a draw feels fair in this one, but but I would have even been like, okay, it's going to be scoreless at this point. So I was a little surprised by the goals coming as late as they did in this match. And a lot, look, we'll bring it on the podcast, a lot coming out of this match at the end of the game with the goal, the strobe light celebrations taking place in a game like this. You could see camera angles and footage of Bella Bigsby, feeling the impact of that, and lots of folks chatting about it online, rightfully so, looking at it kind of from as a player issue on the pitch versus a fan experience issue. It's very interesting to sort of hear that kind of all come to the surface, and because it's not just, this isn't the only arena where we've seen that, and we've seen it in other places as well. So I'm curious as to how maybe that shapes things moving forward. It was very interesting to sort of see everything online and all the feedback and perspective around it. I'm still gonna try to pivot towards the player and just sort of hear their perspective and what that kind of means from then, and that's kind of what I'm gonna lean into, especially considering all of the last couple of seasons where there's been a lot of rhetoric around protecting the players and making sure player safety, and kind of maybe we need to maybe evolve that and pivot that into
Right.
other areas. And what does that mean when people say like, oh, you should protect the players? Maybe that means for what's best, for their health on the pitch as well. So if it's affecting players, maybe that's another conversation that'll be had at the different levels, like outside of just pockets of the internet, but with players and coaches and game operations as well, just to sort of see what that comes out of. So a draw for Portland and the Wave, a draw for Gotham and the Spirit, and we got a real treat. And these top tier teams going head to head this week.